So I was just talking in my previous video about, how society and why I think people were crying in the experience they were having, we've all been having. And did I invite the Holy Spirit? Holy Spirit, please be with us. And my video stopped recording. So I've decided I'm just going to make this a slightly separate video and kind of wrap up what I was saying. And then if you enjoyed some of this wrap up, you can go back to the first one. But pretty much I was saying that, these characters, I was saying about evaluating people, and I was just talking about how being online, I think, has really contributed negatively to why people feel the need to behave and put on these characters that we all put on, because people can evaluate everything about you online. Like, for me to be able to do YouTube and do it the way that I'm doing it, I have to fight really hard. As I was saying, that I'm like, I don't know why people are here. I don't know what's going to make them stay. I don't know what's going to make them leave. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I don't know if you think, wow, she sounds intelligent. I don't know if you think, wow, she sounds stupid. I don't know what anybody's thinking. In a way, it's actually helpful, because then I feel like sometimes I feel like it's good, because it doesn't overly shape what I think and who and how I am. As I was saying, that's the problem I feel we have now, is there's like an acceptable character that we're all supposed to play, and as soon as we move away from that character, we are no longer accepted in society. So as opposed to just being ourselves unapologetically and authentically, then instead we become somebody else for the sake of what other people have said. And that's why I feel like people were feeling seen, because deep down people want to be able to be different. They want to be able, deep down we all want to live authentically. We don't live in an environment or a society anymore where that's what we do. I don't even know that if we ever did, where it's just accepted that, hey, this is just who this person is. Like I said, there's always got to be all these explanations. And I even wonder that myself. I'm like, I want something, because I was talking about my own videos. Sorry guys, I am painting my nails. I'm so sorry. This is what we do here. Yeah, I was thinking, as I was saying about my own thoughts about my channel, and like wondering why people are here. And I was thinking, I wonder what diagnoses people would give me. I don't want to know, by the way. So don't tell me, because I don't want to know. But I would wonder, like, some people were like, oh, she's a classic case of XYZ. I don't know. Just because we're in a society that does that now, there's not just a reality where, and this is something I'm working on for myself, the reality where I just get to be me because I'm just me. Maybe I'm not like opinionated. Maybe I have an opinion just like yours, but my opinion is different to maybe yours, or different to maybe a lot of people. That doesn't make me opinionated. You could be called opinionated. We all have opinions. Right? And it's sometimes it's really about how people phrase things, because like I've been thinking about this for myself. You see, I've been trying to do some work, some internal work. I always am. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you guys get what I'm talking about. Like how things are phrased. Like someone might say to you, "You're too quiet," and it's like, why is that wrong? If somebody is quite happy to just remain quiet. What if that's what makes them happy? What if they like to observe? What if they just enjoy being there, in the moment? That doesn't have to make them too quiet. It can mean that's just their personality. That's just who they are. You know what I'm saying? Or even the other version of too loud. Maybe you're just somebody that's got a lot of power inside of you. So I was thinking, watching Wicked, I was thinking, these girls, the way that these women are singing, they have so much power inside of them. There was a clip I saw, and it was showing a time, a part where Ariana was singing, and they showed, not even on the set, but like, so you come all the way off the set, which is a giant set, by the way, like I don't even know, and so they've come off from the road, and then they've gone across like a whole motorway. Also, a motorway and highway the same, like interchangeable in English and in British English and American English? I want to know. But there's a whole like motorway and a whole bunch of things, and it was like over there. Somebody was like in another complete space, and you could hear Ariana's voice all the way from over there. And I just thought, these girls don't even need really these mics and whatever, because their voices project. So but that's something that's a part of who they are and who they have to be for the characters that they, for the person that they are, because this is what they do. They're destined to be there. They're destined to be there, you know, playing these roles. They're destined to find each other. They're destined to, you know, represent. um and so yeah, them being quieter maybe wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work, okay, because they needed to have those big voices to do those big roles. There's nothing wrong with either category. There's nothing wrong with the person. Like I think that's what I'm saying. All I'm trying to say in all of this is we need to go back to just getting to know people without making assumptions, and just getting to know people. And I'm finding that to be difficult even myself, and that's just purely because I feel, you know, there's so many things about even myself online. Like I said, how do we get to me again? But I'm just sharing. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest and authentic. So even online, I sometimes have this like impending doom. I'm like, oh my gosh, someone's gonna get to know me, and then they're gonna discover I have a channel, and then they're gonna watch the videos. I don't know who's watching the videos. People who I just met could be watching my videos, and I don't know what I'm coming across. I don't know. And the thing is, if you were to ask me questions, and this is my other problem, is what I was saying before in the previous video, is you don't know why and how somebody's doing something. And so again, why this whole thing, narrative of this whole, not even narrative, this whole accepted thing that we all try to fit this one box of how you look or how you conduct yourself, and what we judge everything off of what we can perceive, isn't helpful. Because say like with Cynthia, even she comes across quite, her appearance is quite I don't know what the right word is. I can't think of the right word, because I don't want to use a word that seems like I'm trying to judge her in any way, because I'm not. I'm just trying to describe her. But as she said, and part of the reason why she was so good as for the character of Elphaba, is the same looks that like people would give her as, and she's saying Elfie, as Ariana kept saying, is the same looks that people give her now anyway, because of the way that she carries herself, right? But then the ways that people might look at her and the ways that people might inform about her personality off of the way she looks couldn't be further from it. She's got one of the purest of voices I've ever heard. I was just listening to her singing, honestly, just felt like heaven. I've never felt that level of just gorgeous, pure soulness. Like, as in, she's a pure soul. Not like, I'm not saying it was soul, because it wasn't really. It was like a kind of mixture of different types of voices, and just hearing her, and I was just like, she doesn't sound like, everything about her is the exact opposite of the way that she looks, right? She's this green looking human with these long claws who wears black and whatever, but why is she doing all of this? Because she wants to save the animals, because she's a woman of justice, because she cares. She's looking out for people, and she cares about folks, and she cares about things. And so what was on her exterior and how she looked on the outside isn't who she was on the inside. And it goes the same way, both ways, you guys. Like I've been saying on my channel for a while, especially this year. Wow, my goodness, my back is hurting. This is not good. Be right back, everyone. You've had these people, like all these exposés that have happened like this year and whatnot, and you have these people who've played these characters in front of your face, and who they really are on the inside is the opposite of what you're seeing on the outside. So you're out here judging. Like, I've met some of the most purest of souls in the most unexpected of places, you know, and in the most unexpected looking kinds of people. So like, for example, like I've given you guys this example before, that, you know, a lot of the people that I've met who have actually been there for me in my life, right, in any way, are people that society would immediately judge just by looking at them, just by their appearance, just by something. But then the very people that they trust immediately on the other side is the people who look different, who look whatever. And this is why we have situations like we have now. This is why people have like are trying to find all these, being shocked about things like what's happening with the whole Mr. Beast allegations and folks like that, because you saw Mr. Beast on social media giving out money and doing this and playing this character, right, for you. And I do believe he is I do believe that he is, how can I say this, knows what he's doing, right? And so you all fell for that because why? Because he looks good. Because he looks good to the eye. To the eye, he's doing good for others. To the eye, wow, oh my gosh, he's so caring. He's so this. He's so that, right? To your eyes, so you'd rather be comfortable around him. But you hear somebody's a convicted felon, and you'll say, "I will never be in the same room as that person." Meanwhile, the convicted felon was there because they were actually taking out somebody like him. Meanwhile, the convicted felon was convicted because he was protecting somebody from harm or whatever, or getting justice that the justice system wasn't getting. This is what I'm saying. You'll fall at the feet of these some of these religious figures and be like, oh my gosh, like the girl with the who touched Jesus's hem. You're there on your knees, hoping that somehow this person can bless you just because they've got a title. Meanwhile, they have heinous thoughts about things that they would do, and you would leave yourself alone in a room with that person, and anything can happen. And guess what? No one's even going to believe you. Because why? Because everybody believes the character. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Is that all this character playing, this theatre production that we call life, where we just immediately take the sides of certain people based off of our observable eyes, what we can observe. And it's shocking the number of times I'll tell you guys this is what baffled me about my job, right? Is the politeness and the honesty of the kids that I work with, who I've been told all number of negative things about, right? And so I've been told everything negative in the book about them. Doesn't listen, doesn't focus, yeah. But if I see an adult on the street that asks me in this country, "You alright?" They don't actually want to know if I'm alright. All I'm supposed to do is respond, "You alright?" Or, whatever. Even if I do quite a quick good thanks you, good thanks might be too far for some people. But I'll have a student in my class that's been called bad behaviored and whatever, who'll say, "So how's your day been?" And be invested in what's actually happened, to the point where I'm not used to being asked by adults genuinely, if it's just, or anyone, if it's just on a random occasion, like not somebody that obviously I'm close with. I'm not used to being asked, "How's my day been?" So, and they actually want to know how my day's been. But in society, you'll be the one sitting in your high horse of self-righteousness complaining about all the youth of today. But then as soon as anybody was to ever answer your question honestly, they would be wrong. Because it's like, come on, that's not what we do. We're just saying it out of courtesy. But a so-called delinquent child has more genuineness to ask me, "How was your day?" And it's like, I don't even know what to say now. I don't know what to say. I'm used to somebody asking that. Like, that's not, like I said, obviously close to me, and wanting a genuine response. So that's what I'm trying to say, that I just think there's a greater issue in society, and this is what I feel like this movie also is revealing to me, is that there's a lot of people who are struggling in this area and are trying to use every single solution in the book, other than the one and only true solution, which I'm going to come to in a second. Every solution in the book to find a way to allow themselves to live authentically and feel like their authenticity is okay. And that's what hit me, because I feel that. Like, I do feel that. I didn't realize that I did really so much, because I would always just I have this negative self-talk that I've been hearing myself. That's the one benefit of making videos on YouTube, is that you end up hearing yourself talking about stuff, and then you kind of have to check yourself, like, Is that healthy? And so, I have to be honest with myself. And I came to the conclusion, sorry guys, I'm really still not doing very well. So I need you to bear with me. Yeah. So I realized that it's not about me. We shouldn't be focused as a society on people or fitting in or being seen or being heard in society. We should be focused on being proud of the person that we are. That's what I realized. And that's one thing I have to say, that for everything else that's happening, I'm very much getting to that point of being proud for the person that I am. And if society doesn't like it, or if the world, or if people, then you just have to let it be a them problem. And I feel that's what the message I got from Cynthia was like, I don't even care at this point what the world has to say. I don't even care at this point. And this is where I feel like the wheels are going to come off between her and Ariana, because Ariana's character, I won't spoil, because I don't want to, in case anybody hasn't seen it, but she's like, I am going to be who I want to be, and I'm going to start there. I'm not going to start in society. And unfortunately, and she said it beautifully in one of her interviews, she said, in life, we start out that we are like given, we are told who we are supposed to be, like by others, and other people want to inform you on how you're supposed to be. But the best thing that happens is when the day comes when, instead of hearing yourself in the lens of others, you see yourself in the lens of yourself. To me, the deeper level of that is how God sees you. Because I think a lot of people who have issues with God right now, who think, especially because of whatever the thing is that you've been through, you're going through, however you look, whatever choices you make, whatever things you're doing every day, whatever, people think that you have to go to God when you are in whatever character you've perceived, when that was never the message. The message was, come as you are right now. And that's why a lot of people don't get my relationship with God, because for them it doesn't make sense that I can be so honest about being miserable or hating being on the planet and whatever, because it's almost as if in their head it's like a reputation of, it's going against God's reputation, or how do you really know? No, we have an authentic relationship. God is a man in his own right. He'll look after himself. I'm being authentic. I actually feel accepted, so accepted by God, that I feel comfortable being honest with him about how I really feel about things. That's the crazy part. So whereas others people feel that they have to play a character in the presence of God, I feel more comfortable in the presence of God than in the presence of humans. I've said this so many times. I feel way more comfortable in the presence of God than I do the presence of humans, because I know with God, he wants to accept me as I am. And so that's what I'm saying. It goes a step deeper, because then he's like, and who you perceive yourself to be, you don't even see yourself the way I see you. And others may not see it. Some may not. You don't even see yourself the way I see you, because if you saw yourself the way I saw you, you wouldn't even care about what people think. And that's what I feel like is where the girls in Wicked, where they got to, because they got to a point where the both of them had put aside expecting to have to be different than who they are. I think they had a situation where, and have one, where I can be the best and not necessarily best version of myself around you, and it's a safe space. Because for me, that's my thing with God, is I can come to the Lord as I am and I'm accepted. I tell him things about myself that I don't like, and he's like, "Well, I literally made you like that on purpose." Like I was telling you guys this, that I'm quite mischievous and I'm very much an instigator. I instigate. And it's something that I've struggled with a lot because my instigations lead to situations that I'd rather not be in. So this whole instigation thing really stresses me out because I'm like, God, I've done it again. I've done it again. I shouldn't have been left. I should have, and I really recoil in life. I really hold myself. It's one of the main reasons I actually isolate myself a lot is I don't want to lead people astray, and I don't want to get caught up in my mischievities because I will be mischievous and I will instigate. It's not that I get swayed by people, really. It's not. It's that I will do the swaying. I will be the one to suggest the bad idea. And when I say bad idea, in my mind it's not bad, but I shouldn't be doing it. So I try to think, let me just keep me and my little bad self over here, away from everybody else, because I don't want to infect others. And I know that I will, because I'll be suggesting it and I'll be pushing it, and I'll be like, come on, let's do this, let's whatever. And I'll instigate. I have instigated a lot of things. Yeah, I remember when I was in school, right? This is what I'm talking about. When I was in school, one of the things that we used to do, it's insane that we used to do this, but me and a couple of particularly a couple of the guys, right? What we would do is we'd make these agreements in the classroom of something that we were going to do in the whole, and get everybody in the class to do it, and we'd convince everybody in the class to actually do it, and it would get insane. So like it'd be something really small and simple, like everybody's going to tap their pencil at the same time, the whole entire class. So we would do that, and one of us, between like maybe there was like three of us, a couple of us, we would count down 3, 2, 1, like whispered, so that everybody in the class can hear, and then my whole class would start tapping our pencils. Or like there was one where, what was the other one? There's one where our science teacher left the room, because I realized that, this is how I realized powers of the people, by the way. This is what I'm saying, that the Lord actually uses things that you might not like about yourself for the better. And there's things about you that are unique that might actually help some situations. But we're getting there. So remember there was once, it was in science, and yeah, science, can you imagine? You'd think I'd be focusing. I was not. So the teacher walks out, and we just started singing "We Will Rock You," and we were like literally banging the tables with our fists, singing "We Will Rock You," right? And then the teacher would come back. But then I realized that we can get away with these things, because as soon as you guys can't pinpoint like one person, I'm like, in my head, I was like, well, we'll try and put us all in what we call internal exclusion. Try and put us all in what's called the zone. So it's like the one where you get sent when you've been naughty, and it's like meant to be like a little like prisony type of situation. Where there's really strict teachers, and you're isolated with all the other naughty kids. I had a couple trips in there. So we would all start with doing like the "We Will Rock You" and whatever, and the whole entire class would do it. That's the best part. This is what I'm saying, that the problem is that I can get everybody to do stuff. That's actually the problem, right? Or I remember the time, and this is one of my most proudest achievements as an educator. Seriously, I had a class. So there was a class, and they were like 18. They were all. I was working this. It was like a summer school basically, and so there was a whole class full of 17, 18-year-olds who were about to go to university, and we were about to teach them chemistry for the full week. They were going to get the full-blown lab experience. They were going to get the full-blown lecture experience, understand exactly what it's like to go to university, exactly do actual practicals. And me and two other students had to basically lead and organize them. And then at the end of the week, we were supposed to do, or 2 weeks, or however many weeks it was, I can't remember. But it feels like it was just a week, but it may have been more or less. I really don't remember. Anyway, it's a long time ago. And what we'd have to do at the end is they'd have to do a presentation to like everybody who from the other subjects as well. So like, as in like, we'd have law, we'd have, I don't know, computing, like all these other subjects. All these other kids also got to do this summer school thing. So I remember that throughout the week I got lost into my creative spirits, right, as we were doing this. By the end, this whole group of innocent, shy, quiet, timid, introverted young scientists put on a whole production. We had singing going on. We had acting. We had all of everything. We showed all the work. All the work was done. Don't get me wrong. We just showed it in a different way. So like, one of the segments, one of the one of the groups, they had a YouTube channel. It's all started with one of the girls singing this little thing to herself, and I made sure to include everyone. I was like, because I always do, I'm like, everybody needs to be included here. So every single person, to have watched a whole group of kids, like 17, 18, they're young, they've got anxiety, they're all into science, so all their head is in science. They're not creatives, right? Or so they thought. To then like work with them for the week, get to know them, take them to do all these practicals in the biggest like teaching lab in Europe, which is at the university that I went to, the largest teaching lab in Europe, and do all of this, and then just to see it, because they only had to do like a PowerPoint. So I realized after the fact, because we went and our thing went on for like 10 minutes and it was like a whole production, and everybody else in the room was looking like at each other like, this is not what we've prepared. But then I was just so proud of the kids, because I was like, come on, like I believed in them. I wanted them to feel passionate. I wanted them to have an opportunity to like perform, do something a bit different, to feel seen, and all of that. So we did that, and it was incredible. They were so good. And the production was so good. And I remember my lecturers looking at me like, because this is obviously after I've graduated, they were looking at me like, do we know this is what you do? They're like, we know this is you. And so what the Lord has had to teach me is that my instigation tactics and my mischievousness, yes, we could have just sat there and done a PowerPoint and done, on day 4 we did this practical, and we could have done that, but we didn't. We put on a production, because that's what I do. I like to put on a show. I like to make something that has an impact, So that's why things like Wicked and stuff, it hits me, because it hits me right there where I'm like, wow, that made me feel something. And so for that to happen, like, God was saying to me this year, this is what I'm trying to say about learning to love, to see yourself through the lens that God sees you, as opposed to the lens of yourself or the world, where I'm like upset at God, like, God, why am I an instigator? Like, I'm always, because I would get in trouble because of instigating all the time at school, and they'd be like, we know you're the ringleader. I'm just, oh, for goodness sake. Especially because sometimes I really wasn't the ringleader, because there's certain types of things I wouldn't do, but I was a ringleader all the time, and it caused me a lot of stress and a lot of problems. So I'm like, God, I don't want to be an instigator anymore. And he's like, but what if you're instigating for the right reasons? Like, what if we can find a way for you to instigate for good? And I was like, you know what? We're going to have to work on that. So that's a new project me and the Lord are working on, because I historically, listen, I don't instigate good things. I do not instigate good things. I'm the instigator of mischievous behaviors. And when I say mischievous is the best word, because it's not necessarily bad, like, for anybody, but it's just definitely not what I'm supposed to be doing, or the line is blurry of whether this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's what I'm trying to say, like, about all of this stuff, and about like characters and villainizing who you are, and allowing, seeing things from a different lens. Because to me, it really was stressing me out, and I was really trying to kill it out of myself, like this instigation type of thing. Like, I'm trying to kill that thing inside of me, because once I've decided I really want to do something, I will instigate. I will. I'll initiate, I'll instigate, I'll initiate. I will. If I've decided I want to do it, I won't. And the thing is, I'm so deeply an initiator that it will happen before I've realized. So like when I'm telling you guys even this story about these kids I was working with, by the time that this initiating that was I was doing was happening, and we were building this production, I maybe realized. I don't think I realized until the end. I didn't realize until we get to doing it in front of everyone. Everyone's looking back and forth, and I'm like, oh wait, was this just supposed to be like a PowerPoint? I didn't know. And like I even like the people I was working with, like everything just went into the background, and all I could see was these kids, what they had to do, and like how I just envisioned bringing them together, on how I knew that they would enjoy it, because for me that's the most important thing with why I like to initiate and instigate things, because I want to see people happy. I want to see people laugh. I want to see people enjoy themselves. I want to see people do more than they thought that they could possibly do. So that's why I initiate, like, come on, guys. Like, so what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And I just got lost in it. Like, and if you think about it in hindsight, I should never have really, according to the societal norms, that was inappropriate, I guess. I don't know, is it inappropriate? In terms of, that's not how people would have done things. People would have just, like I said, have a nice little PowerPoint, have a couple of them read those lines, a couple of them read those lines. But no, we had singing, we had acting, we did have PowerPoint and videos and stuff, and it was like we only had to do, I guess, I think it was like a minute or two, a couple minutes, and we ended up having a full-blown 10-minute, like, and it was just so good. And the card, and the thing that makes me bring up that story, and what my encouragement is to you guys, is the card that I received from those kids it brought me to tears, because they said stuff like, thank you so much for making this like so much fun. You really helped to bring me out of my shell, and I had the best time of my life, and I wish you all the best, with everything. And they made me a card. I didn't ask them to, but they did, and all of them wrote in it. And that made it everything to me, because I was like, here was I being the crackhead initiator, just like, guys, it's triple shot, like, guys, how are we gonna do this, and I just went into the zone. I went straight into the zone. I didn't even think to think, and that's what the problem with me is. I can't think to think. If I'm around you and we're doing things, I'm just going to switch into the zone. And these are things that I hate about myself, Can you imagine? And so for these kids to be like, thank you so much for like everything that you've done. Like, we really hope, like, those little things, like they were like, we hope you watch Naruto, because I hadn't seen Naruto yet at the time. And then they're also the reason I have this calculator, because we were discussing the scientific calculator, and obviously at that point I'd like graduated, so I didn't have the current Casio scientific calculator. If you guys didn't know, all I do is Casio. My watch has to be Casio, because I'm a nerd. But yeah, and so I didn't have the current scientific calculator, so I was like, guys, I'm gonna get the calculator. I have to get it, because I was feeling left out, and they were all trying to talk to me about the scientific calculator, and I was like, how do I not have the scientific calculator? But anyway, and so like, for them to write all those things in the card, and for them to say all the things that they were saying, and just like, if it wasn't so late / early, I would actually just get it, because I keep it in a very special place. They were like, you made this like the most incredible experience ever. I had so much fun. It was so interesting, like, to obviously to learn, and then also to like perform. And they just did so good. They did so overwhelmingly good. And they all signed this card. And guys, the way I cried reading that card, because I was like, I never thought about the impact that my initiating and instigating could have had. I was just trying to bring up, like, I was trying to just brighten their day. I was trying to, like, show the scientists that, like, you don't have to be in this bubble, in this square, like, be yourself. Everything was very self-driven, so I would like encourage them about the things that they like to do and what they want to do. That's why we'd be we'd be in the middle of doing all these experiments in the lab, and then they'll be having this deep conversation. I've never watched Naruto, and we're talking about who everybody's favorite character is and why. And I actually have feedback that I'd like to give to them if I ever was to speak to them, because now that I've seen it, I have my own thoughts as well, my own favorite characters and whatnot. And just to like engage with them, and like everything that I did with them Like, and it wasn't just me. Everything that we did, it wasn't what normally they would experience in that type of situation. But it just turned out that God created me to be the way that He created me for a reason. And that's what I'm trying to say to you guys. That's what I'm saying all of this stuff to say, is that we get caught up in this life, in this world, with trying to fit some kind of mold that was never built to bring the best out of us. And then we can villainize things or feel like we have to fight off things. Like I say, one of the phrases I like to use in terms of teaching is about redirecting energy. So instead of telling a kid not to do something in a certain way, it's how do we redirect your energy? So how do we get you, instead of using your intelligence to do this, how do we get you to get your intelligence to do something that's going to be productive for you in the long run? You know, it's why I call redirecting and your energy. And so, you know, it's a tactic that I use a lot, and it's a phrase that I use. I don't use it to the kids, but it's what in my head. That's what I'll be thinking. I'm thinking, how are we going to redirect this energy? And sometimes you have to do that. But in society, we've just got to a point where authenticity, being yourself, having your own makeup, DNA of your own soul. Because I feel like there's things that come down to the DNA of your soul. Like there's certain things that you just are and you just were always going to be. And those things shouldn't be villainized. There's also some things that have been added or some things that have to be redirected. Like I said, I've understood that I have to learn to initiate and instigate the right things, and I have to learn how to find wisdom in not doing that with the wrong things. That's my own journey, right? But for somebody else, you know, and that's something I have to work on. But it's not that me instigating is the wrong thing, right? Or even, you know, a lot of things I've been looking at into myself. It's like, okay, I always saw that as a negative, or that always made me make people uncomfortable. Like I was thinking about this earlier today before I started recording any videos, and I was thinking, I feel really uncomfortable that I make people really uncomfortable, and it makes me coil back again because, like I said, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But then the thought occurred to me was, what if there needs to be some more uncomfortability? Because the world is the way that it is because people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not standing up for justice and they're not standing up for anything. So maybe where I'm feeling bad for making people uncomfortable with what I'm doing, maybe that's the uncomfortability that they need. Because even for myself, the uncomfortability that I feel in society and in the world at the moment is actually drawing the best out of me, because now I'm like, God, this can't go on like this. So what is it that I have to do? Where is the issue in what's happening? Because right now I'm uncomfortable. Comfortability breeds loyalty. I've said this before. It breeds loyalty, breeds cowardice. So I was thinking about something else. Comfortability creates cowardice, because now you don't have to do something because you're comfortable where you are. So I have to also learn within myself that it's okay to make people feel uncomfortable, and it doesn't suggest anything is wrong with me. And it doesn't also mean that I'm trying to suggest that that's something wrong with somebody else, even if they they hear it like that, because that's what happens. People think I'm judging them, but I'm not judging them. I'm looking at the problem. For me, the problem is always separated from us as humanity. The problem is that there is a problem, and it's not you and it's not me. It's the problem separately. Like I said, Adam and Eve should have realized that. You got Adam and Eve. The snake is the problem here. Because why is the snake, or the serpent, sorry, doing what he's doing? Adam isn't the problem. Eve isn't the problem. The snake is the problem. The only time Adam and Eve become the problem is if we don't think about the snake. So for me, with my interactions with humans, I've realized that even if you feel uncomfortable, and I have to learn to deal with that, like I know, and I have to be comfortable in my own knowledge that I'm not trying to judge you, and I'm not even judging. What I'm saying is there is an observable issue that we're all going through as the adult population that we need to address. And it's not personal. And so I got so frustrated the other day when this had the situation at work, because I'm here working with this kid. I'm trying to help him. He's new to my roster, if you will. And then so for his mum to just pull him out of my lessons because she thought I was judging her parenting because I was asking questions. I was like, these are my exact issues I have with society. I was asking questions because I was actually under the assumption, and this is why I say people need to learn to talk instead of judge and assume or play characters, which is exactly what she did. Judge, assume, and play a character. You should have asked me, are you trying to say that I'm not doing my job as a mother? Because if that is what I'm trying to say, then you better be sure that that's what I'm trying to say, because then at least you can take that and use that against me if you need to. What was actually happening was I was trying to understand. I had the belief that the system was working wrongly against her and him and his whole family and everything. So I'm trying to actually understand, what do you need? But because you have the incapability and you have the insecurity, and you couldn't say to me with your own mouth what you felt, and you're playing a character because you didn't tell me anything, I had to find out from whoever else that had to call me and tell me this kid's going to be pulled out of your classes. And then, oh, we're going to add him back again. And like an hour later, I get another phone call because you didn't have the ability to. And this is what I'm saying about society and being open-minded, and just why some of these things that happen, and the ways that people go about doing things, and the assumptions that you make, and even how you let other people see you and whatever. Because my answer to her now would be, if I could say it, and I won't because I feel like it'd be inappropriate, why would you even think I would question that? Is it some other people have questioned your parenting? Is it that you have your own self-guilt about your parenting? I haven't said anything about your parenting. I'm actually trying to help you. I'm actually trying to understand a situation I have minimal information about, like literally minimal. I hadn't even been sent a curriculum for these kids. I hadn't even been sent a lot of things. So I'm just trying to find a starting point, and I'm also trying to make sure that we're working towards a goal that makes sense. And you're his parent, so it's you're the person in whom I believe should make the decision. I don't know. Am I making sense, you guys? Because I'm like, sometimes I'm just. Anyways, guys. So you get the gist, like, of what I'm trying to say here about playing characters. Like, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help. Sometimes we have to allow our who we are to make people uncomfortable because of the journey, and that's what I took away from Wicked. That's why I do cry now listening to the music, because the journey that they both went on, Ariana and Cynthia, in the first part, and everything that they experienced, and just the whole idea of being a character, being somebody, and struggling to find your place in a world that seems to have some unwritten acceptance of how we all behave. And then, kind of allowing either others or yourself to villainize who you are, when God created you to be who you are, exactly as you are. It actually robs you of the life that you deserve and the people that you deserve in your life. And I think that's what ends up happening between Ariana and Cynthia, is they found somebody that maybe wasn't necessarily who they would have, either of them would have thought were the type of people to find each other, and become so close. But they're so close because they just loved and accepted each other for who they were. And that's what my relationship has been like with God. It's the exact same thing, because he loved me as I am, and I love him as he is. And when we have issues, we talk about them. If I'm like, God, I'm not happy with what you're asking me to do right now, and I'm not happy with your people, that's what I've been saying to him. And it is what it is. And he'll be like, yeah, well, you know what? I'm not happy with your attitude, and I'm not happy with this. And you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't mean we hate each other, we love each other. It means we love each other enough to know each other and accept each other for who we really are. And we trust each other enough in who we really are. I trust God that he's good. So when I'm going through things, I'm not questioning, is it because God isn't good? No. There's another reason. I may not know what the reason is, but I trust in his character. In the same way I feel he trusts in my faith, as in I don't know what's going on. Like I know everything that's happening, but he knows that my faith is real. And so if nobody else acknowledges it and if nobody else gets it, I don't need the approval of others. And I just wish everybody would have that, be able to have that experience, because as I said, it's not really here on earth as much as it should be, because we're all trying to play these characters. And in reality, God's like, no, but I created you the way you are for a reason. And it's not for somebody to try and explain away like things about you and make all these judgments. It's just, that's just who you are. And then obviously there are things about us where we may need to either change a little bit or, as I say, redirect our energy, i.e., I don't have to be using my powers of initiating and getting people to do things that they weren't initially going to do for bad. I can use those things for good. So I don't have to villainize it and say, oh, this is just something that's bad and oh dear, whatever. No, I can pivot and say, I can actually, if I can have that impact in the kingdom of heaven, if I can have that impact for people to do all the things I'm saying, let's do that. If I actually seem to have these powers of initiation. Yeah. As opposed to maybe how I've used them in the past. But that doesn't villainize me. That doesn't make me wrong. That doesn't make it a negative. It means it's something that God put inside me. And that's what I think is different to God and the world, is God acknowledges that his children are all different and he created them differently for a reason. The world says, let's all fit in together because there's safety in us all just pretending all to be one thing together and not giving ourselves the room, the space, and the uncomfortability to be unique and then to accept one another as we are, because it might not necessarily exist in the way that we wish that it did. And so I'd rather find another reason to explain who we are, how we are, why we are the way we are, and run and find a community that matches up, as opposed to finding a community. I'm so sorry, guys. I told you. It's all stupid. Ugh, whatever. Rather than finding a community of like-minded individuals who, not even like-minded, of a vast number of people. And that's, I think, is the beauty of Ariana and Cynthia, is they're different types of people, but they're helping in the friction that exists in their relationship from being comfortable and being themselves. That's what's actually bringing out the best in each other. From the fact they're not trying to be the same character and they're not trying to be the same person is what's bringing out the best in each other. And that's what I believe is how relationships are supposed to work, and love. Anyways, you guys, if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And see you in my next one.